Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Olivia and this week we're going to go through Cricut Design Space for beginners. Now the software is free to download, so if you're on the fence about buying a Cricut machine, you can always just download the software and try and find your way around it and see if it'll work for you. So that way when you finally get your machine, you'll be steps ahead and know the software already. And I'll leave you the link down below that will take you right to the download page for the Design Space program. So once you get a clear understanding of the basics of Cricut Design Space, you can really build on your skills and go from there. I know it can be so overwhelming, especially at the beginning. If you already know programs like Photoshop, Illustrator, Canva, you might be ahead. And if you don't, that's okay. This video is for you. So the first thing we have to do after getting our machine is go into a browser and type in Cricut Design Space. And this is the place where we're going to download the software so we can start making things with our new machine. So once it comes up to this window, you just want to agree to the terms of use and click download, and this will start the download process for the Cricut Design Space program to be installed on your computer. And once that's all finished installing, you should have a shortcut on your desktop, so we'll just go ahead and open that. And this is your home page for the Cricut Design Space. When you open this for the first time, it's going to ask you to install your machine. So you're going to either set it up using the cables that it comes with and attach it to your computer using USB, or you can use the Bluetooth function on it if your computer has Bluetooth, or if you're using Cricut Design Space, the app, for your iPad or phone. And once everything's all set up, this is the screen that will open when you open the program. Up here, the green button is where you're going to start a new project. This is, if you have more than one machine, this is where you select which machine you're going to be using. So mine just says Maker. My projects is just a folder with everything that you've made in the past. And over to the left here is the home menu. There's a lot of things at the bottom here, but the main two that you're going to be using are probably toggling between home and canvas. So this space here has a whole bunch of different projects, usually featured or recommended for you at the top. You can filter by material, so you can filter by fabric, cardstock, whatever you like, and you can also search projects in the top search bar. And then this down here is all the projects, all my projects. And if you just scroll down, there's lots of cool, really cool things that you can make with your Cricut. Okay, so let's just choose one of these free images here to work with. This brings up our canvas. This is what's called the canvas. At the top here you have the name of the file when you go to save it, and then you have your same buttons here at the top, and instead of new project you have the green button that says make it. So that's what you're going to hit once everything's done and you're happy with it, and you're going to cut it out on the machine. Okay, I'll just go over some of the features we have at the top. So your image needs to be selected in order to work with it. So if your image isn't selected and you're wondering why you can't click on things, that's why. So make sure it's selected. You just have undo and redo buttons. This is the operation that you're going to make the machine do. So most of the time you'd go basic cut. You can select the pen if you're drawing it with the pen. And these are just the add-on tools. So the debossing tool, the engraving tool. So that's what you're going to click when you're using those. Let's just go back to cut. The arrange button is used when you're working with different layers and you want to move them forwards and backwards. Flip, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to flip that project upside down or side to side, let's just get it. So this menu here at the top, the size menu, you can either enter the numbers in manually. If, let's say, you are making a sign for your craft room with this, and you know that your design needs to be 9 inches across, you can just type in 9, and that will automatically size it to the correct size. Or you can manually click and drag this arrow at the bottom corner to do it manually. The rotate menu, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to rotate it 90 degrees, you just type in that up there. And position, I don't use very often. This is just the position on the canvas, so you can see as I move it around, the numbers change here, just going off an X and Y axis. And moving over to the left menu here, we have if you want to start a new project, you're finished with this one and you want to open up a new canvas, that's this. Templates is the next one down. I don't use this one very much, but this is if you are a visual learner and would like to see how it looks. And the third icon down there is projects, and that's again what we saw on the home screen. So if you want to find a project from your canvas, this is where you'll look. And there's a whole bunch of those same projects. And next we have shapes. So for example, if we add in a square, and let's change this to the pen and have it write it. And let's say we want to have it cut out on a square piece of cardstock. So what we're going to do is figure out how big we want our cardstock to be. Let's say we would like 8 inches by 8 inches. So let's do that. Now, as you can see here, this is when we'll use our arrange feature. So when we want to move this square to the back so we can see our text, we just send to back. Now you can change this color to the color of your cardstock if you want to see how it looks. It won't do anything. Again, it's just visual. So let's just change it to white so we can see the text better. So there we have 8 inches by 8 inches. This is when I would use the orientation. So what you have to do is select both your layers. So we have our pen layers, and we also have the machine cutting out our square. So in order to center this design in the middle of the square, so I just want to use the shift key to select all my layers. I'm just clicking on all the layers while holding down the shift key. And I go up here to my top menu to align, and I want to center. And as you can see, this puts it perfectly centered. You don't have to eyeball it. It does it exactly how you want to. If this was a title that you wanted at the top of a page, you could do the same thing. Select our layers and align center horizontally. So that's just going to put it in the middle that way. So the images is this is technically an image here. So that's where you're going to find all the Cricut images. Next down is text. We're going to click on that and we're going to enter our text. So let's just type in 2022 receipts. And this is also going to be written on the bottom of our page. When we have the text selected, another menu pops up underneath, as you can see. And this is where you have the size of your font, the font type, the spacing, alignment, if you'd like to curve it, make it kind of a circle, and advanced is, we'll do that later. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select my fonts. Now again, fonts are available for purchase. If you'd like to filter free fonts or fonts that are part of your computer system. So I just click on System, and these are all your basic fonts that are preloaded to your operating system of your computer. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to type in a font that I have purchased in the past and use this one. So I just click and it should change it. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to select the layers I'd like and center horizontally. So we would like to use the pen for this as well, and you can see it defaults to basic cut, so just make sure you're mindful of that when you are wanting to use the pen to really check that, because I've done that in the past. I've had things all ready to be the pen to be used, and it cuts it out and it messes everything up. So we'll change that to pen. This is where you're going to choose the different pens. So I'm going to get my pens to show you. So I've just got two pens here of varying thickness. I don't know if you can read that. The first one is 0.4 tip, and the second one is a medium tip, 1.0. So I'm just going to show you the differences in this font here at the bottom. So when you click on your color, it's going to bring up the different colors of pens. You can change the colors, but it's what you put in the machine, obviously, that makes the color. So I'm going to choose my black. It's already defaulted to the fine point tip, which is this one. So this is what it's going to look like if you see here when it writes it on the machine. And I'm going to select and change it to my marker, black, and as you can see, obviously it's thicker. That's what it's going to look like when it writes it. So I'm just going to pick a nice size there and do my alignment. Perfect. Okay, I'm just going to move this down a little bit and align again. Center horizontally. Okay. So that's basically these menus here. There's also upload. So this is what you're going to use. I had just made some table numbers for my sister's wedding. So this is what I had worked on previously. If you are uploading your own designs from another program, this is where it's going to show up here. And then phrases are along the same lines as the images, only they're written out, so you can see you have a whole bunch here available for purchase, and there are some free ones available as well. So we're going to go ahead and make this project. So once we're happy with everything, it looks good, you've double checked your operation. So we've got pen for these two, and this square at the back is a basic cut. So something I like to do before I make things to make sure that everything shows up on the mat as it does on the canvas is I just go ahead and select all my layers again, and I'm just going to attach them all together. Sometimes if you don't do that and go to make it, they're all over the place on the mat. So we're going to go up to the right hand corner and click Make It. And there it is. This is showing you how it's going to look on your mat. Yeah, so that looks good to me. You can actually move it too once you're on here. If for some reason you wanted to put your cardstock at the bottom, you can do that. You can move it down, and that's where it's going to cut it out. So just be mindful of where it is on the mat and give yourself enough room when you're putting your material down. The top left hand corner here is just the number of copies you're going to make. So if I had to make 5 copies of this, I would just put 5 in the box, and it would prompt me to change out my mat and materials once the first one is cut. This here is just a small thumbnail of your mat, and just has the commands that you're doing. So this is another place where you can double check if you forgot, let's say, to change it to pen from cut, it would just say basic cut. So there's another place you can look. So your material size is your material, obviously. So I'm using just a letter size piece of cardstock to cut out. So I can just click that and it shows me how it's going to lay on the mat. And you can just make sure that it all fits. Mirror here is mostly used for heat transfer vinyl, iron-on vinyl. So everything looks good here. I'm happy with that. I'm going to click continue. This is going to connect your machine. So I have mine connected by Bluetooth and it's just searching for it now. And this over here on the left hand side just goes over that details that we put in place on the previous screen. So the first thing we're going to do is to find our material that we're going to use. If you click browse all materials, this brings up all the materials that the Cricut can cut. So this is a great place to actually read through and discover what the Cricut can actually cut. I've had some surprises on here. There's so many materials that you can use, like cereal box. There's a setting for a cereal box, so that's kind of cool. But for now, I'm going to go up to my favorites and click my light cardstock that I'm going to be using for this. And I'm going to click done. This is just the pressure of your blade and pen. I always just leave it on the default setting. Next, we need to load our tools and materials. So it's telling you here what you need. So it's saying load the black pen in clamp A. That's the first one as you're looking at it. And the blade in clamp B. So the blade is usually just kept there unless you switch it out with another blade. And it's telling you to load the mat and press the feed button. Down here underneath, after it writes out our first design with the fine tip pen, it just tells you what you need to have ready. So it's going to pause that cut and come up with a prompt to tell you to switch your pen, and that's what you're going to do then. And then we're just going to go ahead, load our materials, and cut out and write our design. Now I'm just going to put my material onto the mat, pressing down firmly to make sure it's stuck on well. Now I'm going to load it onto the machine, making sure the mat sits under the feet on either side. Here I have my two markers, 0.4 millimeters and 1.0 millimeters. I'm going to put the first one in. You just pull open the clamp and push down until you hear a click, and then just tighten the clamp again. My blade is already in side B, and my light is flashing. So I'm going to press the feed button, and that's going to pull the mat into the machine to calibrate. The Cricut button is flashing now. I'm going to press that, and it's going to go ahead and cut and draw our design. So the machine stopped here, and it came up on the computer with a prompt to load our other pen into the machine. So I'm just going to do that now the same way we did before. And you just press the flashing Cricut button again and it will start. And once our design is complete, we're just going to press the feed button again to unload the mat. And I'm now going to remove our project from the mat. I'm going to pull my pen out just so it doesn't dry out, and close the clamp back up. Turn off the machine and give myself some room to work. And when you're taking the materials off the mat, always remember to bend the mat, not the cardstock. So I'm going to flip it over and pull it off that way. And there we go. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you have any questions, please let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video and like this type of content, please give the thumbs up and subscribe for more. I put out new videos every Friday at noon. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks guys, bye!